Hello everybody, my name is Sriharsha Dhanekula. I'm here today to present the CNC solution deployment on AWS, and today we are very specifically focused about talking about CNC deployment in AWS in a multi-AZ solution. We will be using CloudFormation templates for this. With that being said, the goals of our session today are to understand the installation process that is involved here, view and try to get an overview about the scripts that I'll be using for this deployment. Deploy the CNC solution on AWS. As a part of the solution, we will be deploying a CNC cluster which has 3 nodes and 2 CDGs and a Windows VM. We'll also explore the extensions that we can extend this deployment to and also see what operations can be automated or included as an extension for these CloudFormation scripts do additional activities. Synopsis of today's solution is, as I mentioned, we will be installing the CNC solution components here, which involve CNC cluster, which has 3 nodes, a data gateway, which of them will be 2, and 1 Windows machine. We'll also we'll also be creating brand new VPCs, subnets, AZs, load balancers, and other requirements that come as the prerequisite. But if you use our deployment template, the templates that I use, those will be deployed automatically for you as well. Few things that I would like to touch upon here are one of the key things is AWS terminology, which include like the VPC, which is the virtual private cloud, IGW, Internet Gateway, VGW, the VPN Gateway, CGW, Customer Gateway, TGW, Transit Gateway, VPN tunnels. Few abbreviations in EC2 are AMIs, which means Amazon Machine Images, security groups, and CloudFormation templates. We would also showcase step step functions which can be used to do automating few of the day one operations on CNC. On this slide, I would like to present you what will be deployed today. When we deploy it using scripts, you can be under an impression that what is happening, I have no idea, everything is up and running. But this is a pictorial view of what is happening or what will get deployed behind the scenes when we go ahead and use these scripts for CNC deployment. You will be deploying a CNC cluster with 3 nodes, where 3 nodes will be having 2 interfaces in management and data subnets, and each one CNC node is an AZ1, CNC node 2 is an AZ2, CNC node 3 is an AZ3. When it comes to CDG, we'll be having 2 CDG instances. So one will be sitting in AZ1 with 3 interfaces, which is management data and the device subnet. And the second data gateway will be sitting in AZ2, which will include again 3 interfaces, which are management data and device interface. We'll also deploy the load balancers that are required for the management and the data and the device subnets. As you can see in the picture, this is how the deployment will happen across this single VPC, but in a multi-AZ. This is the installation summary here, where we'll be just talking about what are the entities that are deployed here today, which include we'll be creating VPCs from the ground up. We will create multi-AZs, we'll create subnets, or the scripts will create subnets. Nothing needs to be done from a manually perspective. Everything is automated, everything is scripted. You'll also the templates will deploy VPCs, multi-AZs, subnets, security groups, crosswalk cluster installation, which involves 3 nodes, CDGs, which will be 2 of them, the load balancers that are required for the communication, the Windows machine that will also be installed here. I would like to briefly give you an overview about the features that are coming on 6.0 of CNC on the CNC cluster and CDG. We support multi-AZ and single AZ deployments. As a part of this session, as you are already aware, we will be deploying the solution in a multi-AZ kind of a style. We'll be using CloudFormation templates, and these templates that we showcase are supported by the BU, and we encourage you to use them. Again, you can develop extensions based on your requirements. And the few other key features are like we had a change in architecture where we, since 5.0, which involves load balancers being used for management and data webs, Route 53, which uses the DNS and FQDN also. Currently, we are supporting CNC Essentials. Going forward, we plan to support Advantage and add-ons as well. The various architecture options that are available today at your fingertips for CNC deployment in a cloud, in an AWS cloud, are as follows. Single, you can deploy everything on a single VPC, you can deploy it on multi VPC, or you can deploy on AWS VPC and then connect to your remote location. In a single VPC, you can do both single AZ and multi AZ. Today's solution will be deployed in multi AZ. In a multi VPC, you can think of it like CNC sitting in one VPC, CDG sitting in the other one, devices sitting in another one, NSO sitting in another one, or vice versa, two in each VPC, and those kind of things. The communication between VPCs would be happening over transit gateways. We have not tested this, but it is technically possible for the deployment. The last architecture option is having having CNC deployed into the cloud of AWS and then connect to your remote location of your data center where the infrastructure is running currently. Like it can be your data center. Once you have a public facing IP, you can connect to the AWS cloud using VPN tunnels, and this is secure. We have tested this scenario and CNC infrastructure. The tested scenario here, we have tested this and we support this kind of architecture. The tested scenario in a the, the testing scenario that we tested in our labs is CNC sitting in AWS, CDG sitting in AWS, whereas NSO and the routers or the devices and the infrastructure sitting in the data center of D Cloud, and thereby we connected them over VPN tunnels to the AWS, and then we saw the traffic flow across, and CNC was able to do all its. We were able to support all the features of CNC that we promised to support from an on-prem standpoint. These are the diagrams of what I'm just trying to give you an pictorial view of the architectures that I explained. This slide shows multi-VPC installation architecture. CDG and CNC cluster are sitting in one VPC, whereas the device and NSO are sitting in another VPC. The connections are over transit gateway. These two VPCs are connected over transit gateway. This is the AWS and on-prem combination architecture where we are talking about AWS cloud can have devices, in the same VPC or in a different VPC, which would be connected over transit gateway, or we can have devices sitting in an external environment like an on-prem solution or a data center where you can have a tunnel for external connectivity as we show here in the black dotted lines. As a part of the CloudFormation templates, the resources that we use here are when we try to deploy AWS environment where VPC and its required components like subnets, multi-AZs, etc. are getting deployed. Security groups will be deployed. IAMs will also be configured. From a CNC standpoint, you would define your cluster instances, how many instances you want, what is the AMI ID. There's a common launch template which will define what is the storage and all those things. We have Route 53 and network load balancers deployed as well. We would define how many instances. We would define how many interfaces are required for the cluster because we support different styles of architecture. Like you can have CNC sitting on two interfaces while the CDG can have three interfaces, or that is a requirement. Whereas CNC can sit on one interface and CDG also needs to be sitting on one interface, and those kind of architectures are supported. So we would give you an option to define the architectures of your or deployment architectures of your choice. The same thing is followed for the CDG as well. Let's get started with the demo. I will be using CloudFormation templates behind the scenes, and I'm using this tool called TaskCAD, which is provided to us from the AWS to deploy this particular solution of CNC. So the file here that you're looking at is the TaskCAD file, which would define where you would go ahead and edit your own, provide all the information that it needs, like what is the key name that you are collecting to, how many AZs you want it to be on, What is a transit gateway? What is a transit gateway's ASN? What is the AMI ID? In this case, I'm giving the NSO AMI ID, but we are not going to deploy NSO. Here is the CDG AMI ID that I'll be using. Here is the Windows machine AMI ID that I'll be using. This is the CNC or the Crosswork Infra Cluster AMI that I'll be using. I'm doing deployment in 2. I can do 2 or 1 here. So this is the interface deployment mode for CNC. Okay, and then as I said, you will have, it's a multi-AZ solution. We are deploying 3 management subnet gateways, subnets, which is subnet 1, 2, 3. As you can see, the IPs here are 10.10.0.1, 10.10.3.1, 10.10.6.1. So these are 3 different subnets where all the CNC nodes and the 3 different nodes will be sitting in 3 different AZs with 3 different subnet gateways. Okay, you would define all this file as per your requirement, and you would click it, like you would provide your password. You would provide, if you want to do it in a network load balancer, in this case it's a multi-AZ, so it needs to be set to true. But if you are doing it in a single AZ, you can set it to false. But our encouragement is always to have a network load balancer. You would put your SSH password, what kind of a CDG profile that you want to deploy. In this case, we are deploying standard, but if you are doing in future, when we support the add-ons, you might be needing extended. If you are doing CNC advanced, advantage, or add-on. Okay, these are the few information that you need to give, and then once this file is ready, you can just hit this particular command, taskcat deploy run -r US East 1. Before I run this command, let's go over to US East 1 on my AWS instance and see how many instances are running. So as you can see, this is my AWS and I'm on my EC2 console. I have that are running are 0 right now. And if you see here, I'm on Northern Virginia, which is US East 1. Okay, let's go ahead and refresh this. Nothing is running. So let's click this. Instance is running are 0. Let's go ahead and open CloudFormation on the different tab, CloudFormation console. So here, as you see, nothing is running right now. This is run on like 11/13, that is like the November 13th, so that's nothing in the near future. Okay, we are on December 3rd, 6 o'clock, as you see the time at the top here on the right hand corner of my screen. So I refresh it, nothing is running. So let's go ahead and trigger the files here, scripts here. So I'm hitting taskcat deploy run -east 1. The taskcat file is running. I'll maximize this. So as you can see, there is a few warning signs, but it's running. So we can just go back to our screen of Google Chrome, refresh this page. As you can see, the taskcat CW West is getting executed. I can do a view nested or like maximize or collapse depending upon my choice. I can go here to taskcat.west, go to events and see what are happening. Currently it's creating a VPC right now, so I can go here to my favorites tab on like the bookmarks tab here and open the VPC on the next tab. And as you can see, the VPC is getting deployed. The VPC is getting deployed. I can see the VPC is deployed. It has completed. What got completed? The VPC got completed. The VPC deployment got completed. As you can see, when you scroll down to the bottom of the screen, will give you the first event that has happened. So just keep that in mind. The last event shows that it has completed. So the VPC creation has got completed. We can scroll down to the first one here, and we can see the next steps, which is the workload stack, which is getting deployed. So we can go to the workload stack and see what are the events that are happening. As a part of the workload stack, we can see that SSM stack is being created, which is the Windows machine. The security group has been created and it is successfully completed. We are waiting for the stack CDG. So we have put a wait statement and a Lambda function just because we wanted CDG deployment to be done after the CNC deployment has done, so that CDG can go and fetch the controller.pem file when the deployment of CDG is done, so and it is successful. Okay, as you can see, we can go to the next things here, which this is a nested template, so it will be waiting for it. So it's this is the CDG template, and it's so as you can see, it says wait stack CDG, so it's waiting for it. And we have, as I said, we are waiting for a lambda function that we have put in, which will wait for a certain amount of time before the CNC. I mean, like, this will get executed after the CNC is completed. So we can go to this one, which is the Windows VM. The Windows VM is completed. As you can see, the Windows VM got deployed. You can ask me a question: why are we using a Windows VM here? The reason is, we are not exposing CNC outside, or we are not attaching CNC with a public IP. We want to keep it secure, so that is the reason we are deploying a Windows machine to reach it. You would need a session manager to get into the Windows machine, and you'll be using the key pair that I've just showed at the beginning of the tasklet file. Like, the key file is, like, if I have to show it on my here on my screen here, I can go up on my thing here, and where is the key pair? Yeah, so this is the key name. So this is the key pair that I would need to log into the Windows machine. And from the Windows machine, because it's on the same it's on the same subnets, or like in the same VPC, the routing takes place, and you can reach the CNC side of it as well. Let's and scroll down. This is the SSM stack. Next, after the SSM stack, the CNC stack is getting deployed. So we can go, I mean, like, we can collapse the view nested, so it will just show the first one, which is the workload, which is the whole thing. And you can see in this whole thing, it has only two things. First, it has the VPC, and then it has the CNC, which is I named it as workload stack. So it's just deploying the workload stack. So if you maximize it, it will show different things. So we can go to the workload stack here and see what is happening here. So in this case, this SSM is still in progress here. The zone ID got created, and then the CNC is getting created right now. So we can go to CNC here and see what is happening here. Like, what are the processes that are happening here? The management interfaces are getting created. As you can see, CNC1, instance 1, instance 3, instance 2, management interfaces got created. Network load balancers are getting created. So when the network load balancers are getting created, it will kick in another template to deploy the network load balancers, the data load balancers, and all these things. You can ask me, where are all this? So like, if I go here to my Visual Studio, so you can see all these templates I have just put in. Like, if you want to add so this is the cluster, you can scroll up and look through all the options. So this is the code that we give you, and you can use them to deploy everything. So, and then as I said, it's a nested template. So each one will trigger each one, one after the other to deployment. So there is dependency on each of them, or dependency between them. So you will be deploying all those, or the scripts will automatically look for the respective dependency, and if it's deployed, then it will go ahead. If it's not deployed, it will go ahead and execute that. Okay, so the load balancers are getting created right now. SSM stack has turned to green, so that shows that the Windows machine has got created. We can go back to, we can let this run. This will take around, we can go to EC2. As you see, there is nothing running right now. Let's go ahead and refresh the screen. You should see a Windows VM come up. As I said, the Windows VM is up. The CNC VMs are up. They are running, but as you understand, it takes time for them to run all the containers, have everything, form the cluster, use the NLBs, all those things. So it does take time. As you can see, the data NLB and the management NLB got created completely. So they have been successfully deployed, and we are waiting for this CDG right now. So let's give it 20 more minutes, and everything should be completed. Okay. As you can see, if I refresh, the stack has completed. As you can see, the stack has completed, the workload stack has completed, and the deployment has completed successfully. We can go to instances EC2 and refresh the screen. We can see that CDG is also deployed. I can open this. You can see CDG 1 and 2 are also deployed. This completes the deployment successfully. Let's go back to the slides quickly. The demo. I would just like to give you an estimate about the cost of running CNC 6.0 on AWS. The 1 year upfront cost is around 32K, as you can see on the slide here. If you do it on demand, it would be around 3,200. We have estimated is using AWS cost estimator. We can extend the solution to add XRV 9 case deployment also if needed, and then we can also onboard these XRV 9 case on CNC. We can set the CNC passwords. We can do all the day one operations of CNC by using APIs by using the CNC APIs embedded into the CloudFormation templates. We can also deploy NSO also as a part of the extension, and depending upon the various discussed architectures, we can also configure the VPN tunnels, IGWs, CGWs, and etc. if needed. That completes our demo, and I would like to thank you everybody for for patiently listening in. Thank you. Have a good day.